The final days of Musa Moses, the end of a prophet's journey, Islamic history. Part 1. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back. Tonight, we arrive at one of the most emotional and powerful moments in all of Islamic history. A story that is not about a battle, not about a miracle, not about the downfall of a tyrant, and not about the splitting of the sea. Instead, it is about something that every human being must one day face: the end of a journey. But before we begin, imagine this. Imagine dedicating your entire life to a mission given by Allah. Imagine standing against the most powerful king on earth. Imagine leading an entire nation through deserts, hardships, rebellions, miracles, victories, and failures. Imagine speaking directly with your Lord. Imagine carrying the burden of guidance for decades. Then imagine realizing that your earthly mission is almost complete. What thoughts would fill your heart? What emotions would you feel? What would your final days look like? Tonight, we explore the final chapter in the life of one of the greatest prophets ever sent by Allah, Musa Moses alayhi salam, the man who challenged Pharaoh, the man who led the children of Israel out of slavery, the man whom Allah honored with direct speech, the man whose story fills more chapters of the Quran than any other prophet. Yet even the greatest of Allah's servants are not granted eternal life in this world. Every soul must taste death, and the time was approaching when Musa Moses alayhi salam would prepare for his final meeting with Allah. 40 years had now passed since the decree of wandering in the wilderness. The generation that had refused to enter the Holy Land had largely disappeared. A new generation stood in its place, stronger, more disciplined, more prepared. These young men and women had grown up beneath the harsh sun of the desert. They had never known the luxury of Egypt. They had never lived under Pharaoh. They had been shaped by hardship, and hardship often creates strength. As Musa Moses alayhi salam looked upon this new generation, he saw hope. For years he had carried the responsibility of guiding a difficult nation. A people who had witnessed miracles yet often struggled with obedience. A people who repeatedly tested his patience, yet he never abandoned them, because prophets do not serve themselves. They serve Allah, and they serve humanity. The long years in the wilderness were finally ending. The promise of Allah was drawing near. Ahead lay the Holy Land, the blessed land connected to generations of prophets, the land associated with Abraham alayhi salam, Ishaq Isaac alayhi salam, Jacob alayhi salam, and Yusuf Joseph alayhi salam. For decades, Musa Moses alayhi salam had dreamed of seeing his people enter that land. But Allah had written a different destiny, one that would become both heartbreaking and beautiful. As the nation moved closer to its goal, Musa Moses alayhi salam continued teaching, continued judging disputes, continued reminding people of Allah. His hair had grown white. His face carried the marks of years spent serving his Lord. But his faith remained stronger than ever. Then an important event occurred. Allah informed Musa Moses alayhi salam that his mission on earth was approaching its completion. Imagine hearing such news. For ordinary people, thoughts of death often bring fear. But the prophets of Allah viewed life differently. They understood that this world was temporary. They understood that true success awaited in the hereafter. And they longed for the pleasure of their Lord. Yet even knowing this, Musa Moses alayhi salam still carried concern. Not for himself, but for the people he would leave behind. Who would guide them? Who would lead them? Who would continue the mission? Allah, in His wisdom, had already prepared the answer. Among the children of Israel was a righteous man, a faithful servant, a devoted follower of Musa Moses alayhi salam. Yusha bin Nun, Joshua son of Nun alayhi salam. For years, Yusha Joshua alayhi salam had remained close to Musa Moses alayhi salam, learning, observing, growing. He had accompanied him during important moments. He had witnessed miracles. He had remained steadfast when others hesitated. And now Allah was preparing him for leadership. Meanwhile, Musa Moses alayhi salam continued strengthening the nation. Because leadership is not simply about one generation. True leadership prepares those who come after. The prophet knew that his mission would continue through others. One day, as Musa Moses alayhi salam reflected upon Allah's countless blessings, memories must have filled his mind. He remembered the basket floating upon the Nile. He remembered growing up in Pharaoh's palace. He remembered the day he accidentally killed an Egyptian man and left Egypt. He remembered the lonely journey to Madian. He remembered helping the daughters of Shu'aib Jethro alayhi salam. He remembered marriage. He remembered the sacred fire near Mount Tur Sinai. He remembered Allah speaking to him. He remembered Pharaoh's arrogance. He remembered the magicians falling into prostration. He remembered the sea opening before him. He remembered the destruction of Pharaoh. He remembered the golden calf. He remembered decades in the wilderness. A lifetime of miracles. A lifetime of struggles. A lifetime of service. And through every stage, Allah had never abandoned him. Never. This realization filled the hearts of all sincere believers who listened to him. Because the story of Moses alayhi salam was never merely about history. It was about trust in Allah, patience during hardship, courage in the face of oppression, and faith during uncertainty. As the years passed, the signs became clearer. The Prophet's earthly mission was nearing its conclusion. Yet before the final farewell arrived, one last chapter remained. One last lesson, one final preparation, and one final journey that would bring Moses alayhi salam closer than ever to his meeting with Allah. What happened during those final days? How did the angel of death approach one of the greatest prophets in history? What was Musa's final request to Allah? And why would he never personally enter the Holy Land, despite spending decades leading his people toward it? The answers form one of the most moving chapters in Islamic history. And that story continues in part 2. To be continued, the final days of Moses, the end of a prophet's journey, Islamic history. Part 2. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. In part 1, we followed the journey of Moses alayhi salam as he approached the final stage of his noble mission. A life filled with miracles, struggles, revelation, and unwavering devotion to Allah. But now we enter the most emotional and deeply spiritual chapter of his story, the final days. The days when even a great prophet prepares to meet his Lord. As the years of wandering in the desert came to their final stage, Moses alayhi salam stood among a new generation of believers. The children of Israel were no longer the same people who had fled Egypt. They had been shaped by hardship, refined by trials, and tested through patience. A new leadership was emerging, and Allah had already chosen who would guide them forward. Yusha bin Nun Joshua, a righteous servant, a loyal companion, and a man of deep faith. He had remained close to Moses alayhi salam for many years, learning not only knowledge but character, not only rulings but patience, not only leadership but trust in Allah. Now his time of responsibility was approaching. But before that transition fully took place, Moses alayhi salam experienced a moment every human being must face in their own way: the awareness of departure from this world. According to authentic narrations, Allah informed Moses alayhi salam that his time had come near. Yet unlike ordinary fear that people feel toward death, Moses alayhi salam responded differently. Because the prophets of Allah understand a truth that changes everything. This world is not the final destination. It is only a test, a temporary stage before returning to Allah. Still, even for a prophet, the moment of separation carries weight, not because of fear of death itself, but because of leaving behind a mission entrusted to him, the guidance of a nation, the responsibility of truth, the burden of leadership. One of the most well-known narrations describes the arrival of the angel of death. When the angel approached Moses alayhi salam, he came in a form that was not recognized. Moses alayhi salam reacted with firmness. He struck the angel, not out of disrespect to Allah, but as a human response to an unexpected visitor in a moment of divine testing. The angel returned to Allah and said that Moses alayhi salam did not wish to die. Allah then informed the angel to return to him again, but this time to offer Moses alayhi salam a choice: life to continue for as long as he wished, or return to Allah. When the angel returned and presented the choice, Moses alayhi salam asked a deeply meaningful question. He asked how long life would continue if he chose to remain. He was informed a certain period would be added, but Moses alayhi salam made a decision that reflects the heart of a true believer. He chose to meet Allah, not out of despair, but out of longing. Because for those who truly know their Lord, Returning to him is not an end of joy. It is the beginning of eternal peace. After this decision, Moses عليه السلام prepared for his final moments. He turned his heart fully toward Allah. He made supplication. He reflected upon his life. And he prepared for the greatest meeting of all, the meeting with his Creator. It is reported that Moses عليه السلام asked Allah to allow him to be buried close to the Holy Land, even if he could not enter it in life. A land connected to generations of prophets. A land blessed by Allah. And Allah granted him honor in a way known only to him. Moses عليه السلام passed away in a place near that sacred land. But the exact location of his grave was concealed as part of divine wisdom. A reminder that even the greatest figures in history are honored not by monuments, but by Allah's mercy. After his passing, leadership of the children of Israel transitioned to Yusha bin Nun Joshua عليه السلام, a man who had learned directly under Moses عليه السلام, a man who had witnessed miracles, and a man who would now carry forward the mission. The people mourned the loss of their prophet. For decades he had guided them, corrected them, protected them, and led them toward Allah. His absence was deeply felt. But the mission of guidance does not end with one individual. It continues through those chosen by Allah. Under Yusha Joshua عليه السلام, the children of Israel would eventually move forward toward the fulfillment of Allah's promise. The Holy Land, the land they had once refused to enter, the land they had once feared, now awaited them under new leadership. As for Moses, his story did not end with his departure from this world. His legacy continues in every generation, in every reminder of patience, in every lesson of faith, in every story of truth standing against oppression. He remains one of the greatest prophets in Islamic history, a symbol of courage, a symbol of trust in Allah, a symbol of perseverance through unimaginable trials, from the palace of Pharaoh to the wilderness of Sinai. From the confrontation with tyranny to the reception of divine revelation, from leading a nation to the moment of return to Allah, his journey was complete, and yet his message remains alive. Because the stories of the prophets are not just history, they are guidance, they are light, and they are reminders for all who seek truth. Thus ends the journey of Moses عليه السلام, but the story of his people continues. And the story of divine guidance continues through every generation that follows. And Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.